Alright, hey there. Welcome to the increased background noise version of programming, because I don't have a proper mic. So, today I have this checklist here of things I can work on. I added a bunch to it last night, stuff outside the stream. What did we do in the stream last night? Remember if I update this. So we're doing some limited procedural generation, caching those chunks. We're building meshes and we're rendering them, and everything is pretty crappy looking right now, but it's working, which is good because that was what we're trying to get to, so that now as we iterate we actually have something to look at all the time. So that's not the app I want to open. That's the app I want to open. Right. That's that. So, thing to decide now is what to do next. One thing that might be nice to do. Why is the view I'm in not show me how many people? It's really dumb. All right, I'll switch it to the screen here. Right. Is the chat not loading? Alright, so one thing I think I might like to do is improve the load time, because right now it takes a while before when we run and when it starts rendering. And the best way to improve the load time is going to be to optimize the mesh building and terrain generation, because it's going through all that during the startup, but that's for further down the line. So there are a couple things I can do. First of all, just reduce the view distance to start with. What I'll eventually do is back to 256 like it was before, maybe a little smaller. Now it's a DOS keyboard. It's blue about it. FAQ. I need to make an FAQ. Is there a good way to make an FAQ on Twitch, like so that something, should I just use a panel so that it shows under the video? I know that it's possible to do a bot on IRC, but that's going to be a pain in the ass to set up. Because I already know what a whole bunch of the FAQ questions are going to be here. So I cut down the view distance, and then the main thing that remains is the amount of time we spend loading the, and I'll improve this differently by having us build the meshes gradually, only build a little at a time. That's an item on the list. But the other thing that we're spending all our time doing is loading the textures. So like if I just don't load the textures, let's see how long it takes to start up now. People just have a panel below the video. Yeah, hey look, that starts nearly instantly. 1001, 1000, so second and a half maybe. Alright, so clearly loading 120 textures is taking a little while here, despite us using what's supposed to be an efficient method, efficient compressor. That's all fair. Like, hey, it's probably doing more work to decompress than it would be if I were just loading them compressed. So the way to fix that is going to be only load as many textures as we need. In the long run, maybe we have to load all the textures, and so the game's startup time will be this slow. And if we want fast startup at that point, we would have to do some kind of only load low resolution versions of them or something. But for now, I think what we can do is to keep an explicit table of which textures we're going to use and only load those textures. When we're just starting out with a terrain generator, we probably won't be using more than, say, 8 textures. So just loading 8 textures won't be a problem. Do I record this time via OBS? No, I did not think to turn that on, but I did check. I ran a stream right before this, and it did get archived. And then also let's see if that other one got archived too. So yeah, so I've got 3 showing up in the thing. They're all titled the same, so I don't actually know which one is the current one. I think that first one is. So I think it is being archived. There's an 8-minute long one. Let's see, is it still 8 minutes long now? It is, but it probably only updates every once in a while. The audio is indeed worse than yesterday. That is because I do not wearing the headset. I have the headset off, and I'm using the headset mic, so it is quieter, and there is going to be background noise. If it's a problem, let me know, and I'll wear it, but it's a little annoying to wear. So if it's good enough, I'd rather leave it off. Obviously, I need to get a real mic, and in fact, I have many real mics because I'm a musician, but I don't have any that are easy to hook up to the computer, so I didn't bother. But I can wear it if it comes to that. Right now, we just use the first texture, I think. Oops, actually do this. So let's try just loading the first one. See if that works. Wait a second. How if this is disabled, is it rendering correctly? Where's that texture coming from? Is that just, it just happens to be in memory or something, I think. That's very weird. Let's load one texture and load a different one than we're sure that works. Okay, good, it's a different color. What the heck is purple? Oh, it's some kind of purple bricks. Hey, really, these Pixar textures are not super awesome. Once again, it's like a 512 by 1024, so it repeats after only 3 blocks vertically. That's lame. And you vote for wear it. Other people said it was fine. Maybe need a vote here. Alright, so that actually is enough to make the load time fine. Just loading one texture for now, and then as I add more textures whenever we get to that step, I will have to explicitly load. So now we have these annoying pauses. It's moving around, and it might be nice to push out the view distance. So I think what I'm going to do is do that thing I was saying about only building a few things every frame. So let's go. Render. What's this? These libs. Let's just do that first and see how much of that. SDL, SDBs. Accidentally control clicked what I shouldn't have. Okay. So we want to. So we'll do this in a hacky way. Int allow generation. Let's use this one. Where do we do this? Chunk. We don't have to do it there because it's in here. Alright, so now it has that sort of Minecraft draw-in look. And it started slow because we're going in grid order, and all the first things there are behind the camera, so nothing gets drawn at first as it's building in the ones from behind the camera. So that means it's probably time to switch back to Frustrum culling and drawing front to back, because that will make this load order be what? Clicking sounds are louder than your voice. Alright, I will switch the thing on. Hang on a second. I have to do one other thing. Settings, audio. Okay, testing. Yeah, if I'm going to keep streaming, I'll have to get a mic set up. I actually have a... Hang on a second. Let me check something real quick. I forgot I have a mic on a movable stand arm here. Nice high quality mic. Let's see if I can actually get it working. That would simplify our lives a lot. No, it won't let me change audio devices without restarting the stream. Stupid OBS. So, next time. I'll try to do that in advance next time. Alright, so, on we go. Hey, look, I unplugged it and plugged it back in and it starts working. Welcome to the amazing world of software. All right, so back to this. It looks correct. I don't see anything not rendering. Of course, Frustrum culling, and it has, I think the triangle count has decreased. Let's update the stats to account for the Frustrum stuff. So chunks in Frustrum, chunks rendered, chunks considered. Now goes right. Okay, so those should be different. Q chunks 24 in Frustrum of 49 valid of 49 in the range. Okay, so it's drawing about half of them. You'd think it would draw about a quarter of them, so that seems a little odd. If I look level, about a third of them. I guess that I would have to bump the size out. Where's view distance? Oh, there it is. I guess if I bump this out, maybe it'll be closer to a quarter. Takes a long time to build that many, I guess. Or I have a bug. Where are they? There it is. Okay, so the problem is I'm only doing the Frustrum test after building them. So I want to actually do the Frustrum test before building it. So we want to say float estimated bounds equals Q chunk is CX mesh chunk size X log 2. And estimated bounds. And this will probably be done in a different way. Whoops. Probably do this in a different way later, but it's worth this just to get this working. Let's just leave that. Okay. And then I have to test it. If is box in Frustrum estimated bounds 0, estimated bounds of 1. If it's not, then skip it. Mesh chunk size Y is wrong. Int to float. Okay. There we go. Now we see them loading, so I'm guessing that those are Frustrum culls correctly. Now if I rotate, nothing should be there, and it'll start filling it in. Okay, I'm not sure why some of it was there. That's a little odd. Presumably is a bug of some kind. And you could see it was going far to near because I still have not added the code to do that. And you can still see my frame time is pretty terrible, even though I'm only building one per frame. Just building one is still pretty slow. Here's a hole. Why is that not getting built? Oh, it's just never getting the chance because of the direction I'm going in. And if we turn around, we should still have whatever was cached behind us. And it looks like we're not caching that much. There we go. This way. It's loading without having to be built. All right. So that basically works. It's still pretty clunky. I guess I want to do the fart in your thing. So let's look at the old code and see how we did it there. Let's just rewrite that from scratch. It'll probably work the exact same way, but all right. So the naive way to do this is we only do the ones that are at that distance. So if SDB max of abs of I abs of j is not equal distance, continue. So this just has us looping over all of them every time and seeing if they match that particular distance. That should work, except that I forgot to clear that. And probably forgot a parenthesis here. Nope. If, oh, this is a declaration. There was one WordPress site. What was it about? I have no idea what that is asking. Okay, so now the stuff near us is always filled in. We're still not building stuff behind us when we're not looking at it, which is what we'd like to do. Is if we're idle and there's stuff behind us, go ahead and build it. And we'll do that in any order. So let's copy this loop down here. If num build remaining, no, of course all of this will be irrelevant when I switch to threaded. So num build remaining, and then we need to, okay, this should clearly be a function call. This thing I kept talking about, the fact that I'm inlining it here. Because now I have two copies of it. If MC chunk x does not equal cx, or MC chunk y does not equal cy, or MC vbuff equals 0. Okay. So now we have one that's not built. So we need to build it, which is this. And we want to break if num build remaining equals 0, go to done. We just want to break out of this double loop, which there's no way to do in C, so we use a go to statement. Yep. All right. So now let's shorten the radius. So now what should happen is it should fill in front of us and eventually stop. Okay, now it stopped. Now it should be filling in behind us. That's what that code I just added should be doing. So now if I rotate after waiting, yep, it's all drawn. Okay. But if I rotate at the beginning, you should be able to see, well, that's just not far enough really. Yeah, okay. All right, so I believe that's all working. Checking the current status. For those who are wondering, I used the CMirror tool, which is something Casey Tori wrote, primarily because it will copy this data onto 2 other hard drives. So if for some reason I get a hard drive crash and lose the, where it's the Git stuff until I Git, it's just staying on my hard drive. So I'm less likely to lose data in a crash if I do this all the time. And then let's see what we got. Okay. I should have done that before CMirroring, but whatever. So Frustrum culling limit mesh generation per frame. Generate meshes behind out of Frustrum last. All right. I believe that is where we are currently. I'm using Git just because a year and a half ago, I guess a year ago, I put all my libraries on GitHub, so that because I'd been building up patches for the same bug in STB Vorbis for 3 years that I'd never gotten around to fixing. So I wanted to start making bug reports public and stuff like that. So I put it on GitHub, and that required me to learn Git. And I'm only using Git really for the sake of pushing stuff onto GitHub. I would just use CMirror for my personal stuff. Like until the release of STB voxel render, almost all that stuff was not in Git. It was just through CMirror. Because CMirror is fine for one single person development. It's not a good tool for multi-user version control, but it's fine for single user. So I was going to update the to-do list. So frost and column, limiting number of chunks. Okay, so that was that task. I guess that was it. Okay. Let's copy that to overview. Let's do this reverse chronological. And then we can put this back over here. Scroll to the top. And all right. So yeah, let's just leave it that way. All right. So now what? Let's just scroll back. There we go. All right. let's just close that in here so I don't keep getting that message. Load time is totally fine if we don't mind the slow load in, and the movement being slow is kind of annoying, but I think it's not worth threading that yet. Like, this is sufficient to look at the output of the train generator and stuff. So, is that Windows XP? Another one for the FAQ. All right. How many people we got here? All right, help me remember what all the FAQ questions are. So, I'm just gonna write the questions first here. How old are you? VC6. Syntax highlighting. Windows XP. Let's see. There's definitely one or two more. I shouldn't have done this with stream latency. I should type this into the chat so we could have to wait and see what I had already thought of. You wouldn't have to discover that you're telling me the things I already thought of. I'm pretty sure there was one or two more. Oh, famous. C99 has maybe come up once or twice. Oh, yeah, so reminder to myself what the answers are here. Factors. Distraction. So to answer the Windows XP question, I do not actually work with Casey. He had left RAD by the time I started working at RAD. So I do hang out with Casey, but not at work. So I can't really tell you what he does at work. So the Windows XP, no, I'm using classic Windows theme. This is in Win 7 32-bit. All right, and I guess other questions as they come up. Edit panels. So you guys get to watch on stream. So this panel title is FAQ. Why 32-bit Windows? Is 32-bit Windows because 64-bit Windows, modern 64-bit Windows, VC6 does not quite work properly. It works 99%, but it leaves the if you stop debugging, the open executable stays read locked, and you can't write to that executable again, so it can't recompile. So you have to exit the IDE and restart the IDE to get the to build again if you stop in the middle of the builder. And that's what I do at work. At work, I have Win 7 64-bit, and it takes 100 milliseconds to restart the IDE, so it's not the end of the world. But for home use, I decided to stick to 32-bit so that I wouldn't have that extra little bit of friction. So FAQ. What is the markdown for bold? This always bugs me, but it might only be GitHub. I think they did this wrong. Yeah, double. Why would you do that? So dumb. Let's not do this in Q&A format. Let's just do answers. Answer. Answer. Yes, that is VC6, aka MSVC 6.0. I use VC6 because I prefer the human factors of this version. The details were explained in a lost stream. I do use syntax highlighting, but only of comments and if-defs. I find other syntax highlighting to be a distraction. I'm running Win7 32-bit, spelled out Windows 7 32-bit with the classic Windows theme. And I manually adjust the theme to remove gradients from title box. The stream will be uploaded to YouTube. I am not particularly famous, but except in very limited programming circles. My name appears, for example, my name appears in the special thanks section of the Quake credits. Because I use VC6, I cannot use features of C99 like declare anywhere or named structure field initializers. I don't know what they're actually called. Submit. Back. Okay, there you go. I have no specific plans. So, to John Drinkwater's question, I have no specific plans for what kinds of Minecrafty stuff to do. I do not want to make a Minecraft clone, so I think I would stay away from redstone in particular. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see if it gets to the point where it has networking and people can actually play it. Then the decision will be what kind of gameplay do we want to put in? Do I want to put in? Or we? And what would be interesting at that point? I mean, because yeah, you could certainly just have a free game that has all the functionality of Minecraft. I'm not really sure the point, but I'm really not sure the point of your question, Anderson23. So I guess the point is not quite the relevance of your question. So what was I doing? I was. Oh, right. That. And there we go. Okay, so the question was what to do next off this list. Now for the questions just to continue because no one reads the stuff under the stream. Yeah, what's the point of that FAQ is now people in chat can just say read the FAQ. Or I can say it when I see the chat question. Okay, so for me, sure, I am in special thanks for many things. That was just an example. The I'm of course credited on the games I actually worked on, and some of the STB libraries that I've graded have. I guess I should mention that in the fact. I'm primarily known for creating the STB libraries, a set of single file header file libraries for C programmers, primarily targeting game developers. All right. Now, um, yeah, uh, to John Drinkwater again. The uh, it's an open question. Like I said, exercise all interesting features of voxel stuff. So that could easily include um, some of that stuff that's in Minecraft. It's just not 100% clear to me where you draw the line at what's an interesting feature and what qualifies as really being voxel specific. Um, you know, right now my goal is not to make the free Minecraft clone. Somebody else could absolutely fork it and make the free Minecraft clone, and use that as a starting point to try to do some of that other stuff. I am employed. I am gainfully employed. Um, in fact, some of the STB libraries have been things I wrote at work that my employer agreed to let me release to the public. Let's see. So, to-do list. Now that I'm over that distraction. I don't mind also talking about STB stuff as well as OBBG stuff. But yeah, we probably should stay a little focused. So what I was going to say is, for me, a big changing point in making a game engine is once you have physics so that you collide with the walls, suddenly the thing changes from being some graphics displayed on the screen to being a world that I feel like I'm present in. Um, because when you can go through the walls and see that they're single-sided, it doesn't really resemble any reality. The moment you can't go through them, you can't see those things, and you feel like you're interacting with it, is a big changing point. And so putting that in is something I like to do a lot of the time for these things, because psychologically that shifts how I see it. However, that's probably not going to matter so much for the stream and even for the GitHub release. It might be more important to get stuff that's more meaningful in terms of sample code that's higher up basically in this list. Um, I have not tried any of the VR devices except I tried an early version of Valve's stuff back when it was not secret, but before they announced the Vive stuff, the HTC thing. And I found one of those demos fairly compelling, and most of them not very compelling. And at this point, I just kind of want to wait for them to all ship consumer stuff and try it as a consumer. I don't see a lot of room for good game stuff. I feel like it's an interesting thing experientially, but I'm not sure it's good for games. So I just want to wait and not worry about it. And when it comes out, if people can figure out game stuff to do with it, that's great. But that's not for me to be the one to figure that out. Oh, I'm sorry, John, that I didn't say that out loud. I only typed that into the FAQ. My bad. Um, so on the other hand, all of this other stuff isn't that interesting. I guess doing multiple block types, making the world look less dumb, lighting. um, since the code does support a single dynamic light source already, I should probably add that just to look nice as well. So um, let's go ahead and have a couple block types. And I'm not going to do this the right way. I just want to get something working. So let's see, that's in here. Let's just name these like this. So let's have four terrain types now. And mesh builder, there's a corresponding table that says how to map that to this. I don't think we even use it anywhere. I don't think we do. I think we're just passing it through raw as the block type, segment block type. So that's, what was that called again? Geom map. And then we need to mesh builder is the right thing. Where were those tables? Oh, here we are, text one for. So do we have an init function in here somewhere? Init chunk caches. Init mesh building. So equals I plus 1, I guess. No, I minus 1. This is, so you're allowed to put a different texture on each face. And I'm using that interface, but putting the same texture on all the faces. And so now we have that. And then we need to load for 6 textures. Or 5, probably, I think. What did I make? I made 4 terrain types, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so I need to load 4 textures. And then mesh builder, solid plus has to be random mod 3 or and 3. All right. And that didn't work. So did I not get the different types? Or, oh, geom map. Right, I don't want geom map. Geom map is for something else. Haha. I just want that. Nope. These are all 0. All right. So we're not actually managing to write. Wait, those are all 0. I need to wait till one of them shows this. That's going to take forever to get to somewhere where one of them is not 0. So let's actually just force this 3. Different block sizes. Well, what do you mean by a different block size? I mean, the nature of grids is that they have to all be the same size. You can have them be different, what I would call different shapes. Um, is there going to be more simple examples of how to use STB voxel render than the Minecraft map writer? This is it, Malpropos. It's complicated to use. So there is a version of this called First Working. It's tagged First Working on GitHub, and that is the smallest example I have of how to use this. And I'm hearing that through my headphones. Let me turn that down. Okay. What was I doing? Right, trying to get this has to be rand. Right, so I forced it to 3. I realized there was a different thing, which is I'm loading the wrong texture still because I did this off by 1. But that doesn't matter. I'm just not getting. Something here is not. Oh, I'm never calling the init function. Init mesh. I just added this and didn't call it. Init mesh building. There we go. That'll fix that. No, that doesn't fix that. Oh, wait, I set it to 3. That's right. So that probably did fix it. Oh, come on. Well, is it different if I set to 2? No, it's not. I'm setting that to block. And then I'm setting. I'm probably never loading those into the mesh builder. Mesh builder data. Where do we set these? Ah, yes. Text 1 for block type. I do set it. Text 1 for block type. That's the thing I'm just filling out right now, right? Do I ever call that? I do call it. I only went up to 4 instead of to 6, but I doubt that I'm only seeing those faces. Not sure what a linked texture would be. So, Kareem2K, I think what you're talking about is doing level of detail, where you want fine detail up close and smaller detail in the distance. And the way I would do that with STB voxel render is to basically have them be separate, independently rendered things. So the near the overall rescaling there is supposed to be supported, but I may never have gotten around to putting it in. But basically, they wouldn't be mixed into the same mesh. You would have one set of meshes for the near LOD and one set of meshes for the far LODs. They would have different scales, and there is a scale. Yeah, it's baked into this. But I think I haven't gotten around to actually providing an API to set that. So, yes, that's possible to do. No, it's not currently possible exactly per se in the lib. It's a trivial fix to the lib. So if that's something you need right now and you're actually using STB voxel render, submit an issue and I will add it. Okay, so we are definitely setting that. And then we're setting those to various values. And we can't see that in the debugger because it now it'll show it to us. 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 4. Yeah, okay. So it's going through all the different values. Now, connected textures. I still don't know what that would be. Um, do you mean having two adjacent textures that their texture data matches up so that they appear to be connected? If that's the question, that's just something you do in the art and then lay out the blocks in the right places so that that happens. Um, so like, yeah, the way in Minecraft, the way that happens is clearly, or this like with the stairs that turn corners and stuff as well. Um, but probably the redstone connections are the clearest there. The thing there is that obviously you just place the things you want. There's a block and it's marked as this has redstone on the ground, and there's a whole bunch of blocks that have that, and depending on their connectivity, they draw differently. And that's not the job of STB voxel render, but it's also not the job when you put down the thing. So there has to be this intermediate step where when you're converting from what the user has placed to what gets rendered, you substitute different types. So there's a type of redstone that is, here's the redstone that connects south to east. And you have to, when you're doing the mesh generation, substitute that in automatically. And that's something that could happen, but you need data that needs that behavior. And I don't have any data that needs that behavior, so there's nothing like that in this app at the moment. And it's not the job of STB voxel render. That's the job of the person calling STB voxel render. So where would this bug be? We're copying the block, setting that to the segment block type. Okay, so what I should do is go into voxel render and look at it fetching the block type. And make sure that's coming out different. BT 4, 3, 2, 4, 2, 3. Okay, so it's all getting different ones there. Then text 1. That is different. I'm getting different text 1s. Well, some of the time. There it goes, yeah. 2, 3, 1. I've seen a bunch of different text 1s. Let's go down here. Data text 1. Yep, multiple text 1s. So where are those going? Where do we finally build the vertex? Oh, it's baked into face at that point. Ban user. Woohoo. Let me know if that guy I just banned for spamming wasn't actually spamming. I assume that was spamming, but I didn't actually spend any time reading what he said. I just saw it was some kind of advertising link. Well, it's thib. It's there's two different ways to do that. If that's a piece of art that needs to get substituted in there, there would need to be a bunch of rules for when that would happen. And rather than it being the job of the STB voxel library to internalize those rules, it's a lot easier to make it be the job of the client to support any rules he wants. However, if what you want to do is simply crossfade between the texture of the grass and the texture of the sand, there is actually support in the library to do that automatically. Is your guide on how to use STBTT. There is the docs built in terms of the comments for each of the functions, and there are some very, very, very brief samples at the beginning, but no, there's not really a guide. Okay, I need to find this bug, so I gotta stop reading the chat because those distractions keep me context switching, so I'm not really retaining my debugging thoughts here. So I'll come back to the chat once I've fixed this bug or once it's been a while and I haven't fixed this bug. Okay, so block type I know is valid and is getting in here valid, and then came in with different text one. So how does that? Did I? It's the. Did I at some point break this shader and hard code it to use a fixed texture? Where's the shader? Oh, 3 plus 0 times. All right. Why would that not? Because those aren't stupid unsigned. U. Okay, am I not loading different textures? Are they all loading the same texture? Uh, that would be weird. Because we saw that it changed when I changed which one loaded. Maybe they're all loading into the... seems likely that there would be something wrong there. Okay, is this actually loading into the slot? Did I actually ever set the slot here? Slot. I'm loading into slot. Okay. And then... it's in main. File sub I. Load that data. And I saw that it changed if I changed this. Yeah, okay. It's clearly loading different ones. So it's loading different ones. There, we load it. Is this not right? No, because this works in the Minecraft viewer. Totally fine. Oh, that's the scale. I don't want the scale. I want the texel fetch. Wait, why is this texel? Oh. Config prefer text. Okay, we're in this path. Where's the actual texture? Oh, here we go. Okay, it's way down here. Text 1 ID, right there. Okay. That suggests that they are all the same in the texture. Now, I'm not even loading past the first 6, so what happens if I go up here? Okay. So why are they all the same? All right, let's turn back on this debug thing that I added yesterday. It draws... oh, I have the debug warning turned off. Let me turn that back on. See if I get any errors. Nope, okay. Let me make sure I still have my... oh, I don't have my breakpoint. Nope, okay. All right. So, I want to render the texture, which is here. And that's going to always draw the 0 slot. All right. let's go to SVGL, draw rect. Let's make one that lets us pass in texture coordinates. Let's pass it in layer I. Oops, that's not an I. What? What? Oh. Okay, nothing got drawn because I didn't turn that on. Oh, why is that? It's still in there. Okay. Okay, that one's empty. Okay, those look like they're different. Yes, they are all different textures, as they should be. So why? It's funny how they're all kind of monochrome. Because the monochrome coloring I can do with the multiplicative color the engine supports and have multiple variant colors, but they're already colored, so I have to uncolor them first. What? What do you mean? What? So that, I don't understand. So this shows lots of different textures, but if I do this in the shader, it doesn't show lots of different textures. Or else this code wasn't being run because I was in the wrong case. I might have been. I might have been in... No, it's definitely this code. Let's make sure that we get an error there. Yep, okay. So we're definitely hitting this code. And that's definitely the first texture. Why would that... I know why. It's because texture 2 is drawing over it. Ugh. Yeah. Texture 2 is on top. And texture 2 is using the same thing. All right. So let's just do that for now. And in fact, I might have already been doing that. No, I wasn't. All right. Just do it for now until we get around to fixing that. And that should fix it, but I probably left in some other debug code somewhere. That one's still there. Anybody remembers what debug thing I left in, let me know. This is still text1 ID. Well, or there's another bug on top of this. Need to show this anymore because we know this is working. Or I didn't actually disable it. Did I not copy this correctly? Did I not put this in the right file? Config disable text 2. None of this code should be compiled. The foo. I don't know why that's getting generated. This is in voxel render. Oh, duh. This is not the one that's creating the implementation. This is the one that's creating the implementation. All right, there you go. Finally. Jeez. So now let's clean up all the crap that we put in here. That's this. And I may have left the texture loader a little weird. I don't remember. Where does the texture loader happen? No, that's what I want. Okay. All right, I want to load I -1. So that block 1, no, that's being done in the mapping. Okay, right. So it just wants to be that. And yeah, okay, that's all good. All right, so I didn't show it for very long, so let's just take a little bit of a longer look at it. Let's go underneath and show that, yep, nothing is created underneath. All right. So now, the thing to do is to pick the actual textures I want to actually use. So, start data, Pixar. Let's go to the PNGs. Ground. Let's take a look. Oh, why this isn't loading instantly. Okay, there's sand, pebbles, gravel, bowling grass. Yeah, that grass is a little aggressive, maybe. Brown dirt. That's not very dirty looking. Rock. That's very 3D. I'm not sure that'll look very good. Dirt and gravel. That looks reasonable for that. Fine gravel. Gray gravel. Ivy. Lawn grass. Look at, that's gonna tile so badly. These are really terrible textures. I've said that before, but I just can't picture what they were using them for, because that's just
It's just going to have these obvious blobs everywhere. Mortar, red gravel. That's not bad, but you'd really like a lot more detail before it repeats. Well, I mean, it's not like Minecraft doesn't visibly repeat everywhere, so we can just live with that. So sure, a lot of these are usable. The textures are 1K by 1K. I'm looking at them 512 by 512 here, but I have them as 1K by 1K DXT textures. That's the size Pixar released them, was 1K by 1K as PNGs, or actually TJs or TIFFs or something. Um, so I've converted them to full-size DXT textures and half-size PNGs. And we're using the DXT versions in this for now. All right, so I think I can use almost all of those. So let's cd data pixar png, or actually dxt crn ground, and let's do a dir slash bear. Okay, and let's append that to dot slash slash slash. I'm not quite sure how far I need that to go. These are all ground textures. All right. And then what else have we got? Floor textures, obviously. That light dark thing is just gonna look terrible. I don't know. Yes, I'm using SDL2. How long have I been programming? I have been programming since around 1980 or 1981. I've been programming C since around 1987, maybe. Yeah, and you'd really like to recolor that. Yeah. So, yeah, okay. So clearly, in the long-term task here, to-do list, task list, rather. Tweak Pixar textures to be more gray, so it can dynamically recolor. Texture improvements. Find better open textures or pay someone to make them. All right. So, uh, so I don't really like any of these floor textures. I guess this one's kind of cute. I want to copy the name. Floor CRM. That can be used as a floor. That's a nice brick. Brown painted. Oh wait, it was building block was the, yeah. It's a pretty weird texture. Fabric weight high immediate need for fence metal. Yeah. Good. Do I have a bunch of these open? It's not vertical metal. Oh, vertical redwood. Yeah, I'm kind of intentionally not doing the pixel artist thing because I kind of like to have it different, have it not be the obvious Minecraft look. So black granite. Blue marble is good. Buffed. All right. Let's try a few of those. And that's enough to get us started. Like, I'm sure more of these are usable in the way that they're not very good, but usable. You know, this just gives us a variety to play with to start. And I still have walls and woods. Okay, a lot of woods. What are the walls like? Yeah, yeah, they're also 3D. Well, so much baked in shadow and stuff. Although that's kind of okay because I don't want to do bump mapping and stuff. Yeah, all right, this is good enough to start with. So let's, actually I don't want the .crn, all these. Okay, so we go to main. And let's do this. That's gonna be the fastest way to do this. I could do a regex. Oops, that's gonna be a pain. All right, regex it is. Oh, I forgot the comma. All right. Oh my god, on how many screens do you program? I have a second screen, but I'm not programming on that. It's just, I'm looking at the other thing. I normally keep everything on the main screen. All right, so let's just, eventually I will bind them to specific IDs, but for now, let's just load them So what we need to do here is std sprintf of textures sub I goes into what? Data pixar crn %s dot crn quote comma textures sub I, which you can see how eventually that lets me load PNGs instead. And then we do that. I guess that's kind of ugly. So we'll do it that way. And now we do I have an array length? I don't think I do. Textures. And this is textures file name. All right. Should be 4 of the textures that I specifically said I wanted. I guess those are the grass. I remember wanting both of those gravels. Oh, I didn't actually go through and delete. I wanted to only include the ones that I actually liked. I forgot about that. So, oh, I'm in the CRN directory. G. Oh. In the CRN directory again. How did that happen? So, big pebbles, no. Blue gravel, no. Bowling grass, well, we'll go ahead and test it. Brown dirt, no. Okay. Contractor's rock, no. Gravel, yes. Fine gravel, we'll try it. Fine gray gravel, we'll skip. Ivy, we'll try it. Lawn grass. Pebbles and mortar. Peat moss. Red gravel. Street asphalt. Okay, we'll try all those. Yeah, I will have to wrap those in extra curly braces for people to compile on other platforms, but since at the moment nobody's trying that, I'm not super worried about fixing it. All right, so well, it's all pretty reasonable. If you just treat them as abstract colored blocks, it's fine. Interpreting them as actually being the thing they are may not make any sense when it's voxels anyway. Unless you go to the Minecraft super abstract thing. I mean, we'll see. Maybe it'll be fine. Maybe they do work as the texture. Maybe I think they do all want to get scaled up some. Texture scale. So somehow I have to propagate that texture scale info. Let's just have a separate thing. Copy it over, even though I could just access it directly. Just abstract that a little bit. Where did I put that? Oh, it's right there. Data. And then voxel render, where we set up the uniforms. Texture scale. What we want to do is the texture scale table is 4. Yeah. Text scale. Yeah, I don't remember what those other two values do. Maybe they do nothing currently, but they're reserved for future expansion. Oh, yeah, they're reserved for animation. Can we have something like wing tiles to avoid repetition? Not easily. Uh, if you do it yourself, you can, but you're limited in how many textures you got. And in my case, I don't have any variant textures here to do wing tiles with, so. So, texture. What was I doing? Lost my chain of thought. Oh, yeah. So I need to build the texture table here. Table 4. For I equals 0, I less than C4 plus I. Table 4 of I of 0 equals, what was that extern called? Texture scales. Table 4 of 5 1 equals 1. Don't use the other two values yet. And then we're using table 4. Alright. And then let's try scaling up a texture or two. Sure. I think I broke something else. I think that's getting used in some other way that I didn't fill out properly. Oh, I have to divide those by 256. Do I have to? No. We should push them into the right. Let's check what it defaults to. Default text scale. 1, right. It defaults to 1, so why, when I set it to 1, does it not do the right thing? Did I break it somehow? Or expand that to 128 because it might be someday. Well, this should just be the same as what it was. Oh, I did it in the wrong direction. Why is that invalid? What? Why is that not writing off the end of the array, am I? Because I just expanded the array. Anyway, I made them too fine instead of making them too coarse, I believe. Why does that break now? It didn't break before. What did I change? I thought this one worked. Very weird. Wait, well, let's look at what it's calling it with. Array length 128. So it is getting called with 128 now. This does want to be 128. This does want to be 128, but I don't know why that would. Okay. I must have been trashing memory. Okay, so yeah, these need to be 1 over. Where's that table? Main. Hello, where's main? Oh, it's this function. Alright. Now that should scale them in the right direction, I hope. Although why they turn super bright doesn't make any sense either, does it? This doesn't really make sense. Yeah, that behavior is not actually consistent. Oh, it's actually using those other values for something. And I was thinking, oh, that defaults to 0, but it doesn't default to 0 because other uniforms are using those tables. All right. Nope, that doesn't fix it either. What does this array contain? Ones and zeros. Table 4 will contain ones and zeros. Am I breaking? Is it like then using this for the color table? That would make sense. Kind of. But why would it use that for the color table at that point? Didn't change that. Alright, let's not change that. Should still break. Yep. Okay, so somebody else is being affected by this. So somebody else isn't initializing the table fully. And we're affecting them. But I don't think these get used. Let's use this table 4. I mean, that's just a theory. I could be totally wrong. It could be something else. Well, that's all I see here. All right, well, let's make a table 5. And fill that up. No, that's still breaking it. What is going on? Okay, apparently this is something to do with setting that value then. Oh no, but we're not even passing it in. Yeah, that breaks it. Component type or count. Am I? Oh, sorry. I'm using the I variable. That's the problem here. Supposed to be using the J variable. All right. That all makes way more sense. Okay, that's broken in a different way. Oh, didn't actually fix it. Okay. There you go. All right. And now, did I disable the scaling? I disabled the scaling. In main, I think. No, I didn't. They're still in there. Texture scales, data equals table 4. They don't seem to be being applied. Let's get closer and make sure. Whoops. I can't tell if those are actually at the same texture scale or not. What was the one that was 16? That was to make it really obvious. That was the sand. Yeah, that sand is not scaled by a factor of 16, pretty clearly. Let's make it even clearer. Yeah, It should have giant, big, fat texels. Still textures scale. Not going to say anything this time. Pretty sure it's not lighting. I'm copying the scale to the scale. Let's make sure that it's doing what I think it's doing. Yeah, and if I weren't, those would all be 0, and it wouldn't work at all, assuming this is doing anything. Or we're not still seeing texture 2, right? We're seeing texture 1. Because I disabled texture 2. Yeah. Oh, sub I instead of sub J. It's still texture scale of I. Yep. That was the problem. All right. So now the ivy is blown up really big, and the sand is not even sand now because it's blown up way too big. Okay, good. All right, so we can put this back to more reasonable values. Like 8, 4, and 2. And then what I want to do is have coherent regions of them so that we can see that. So the way we want to do that is in Mesh Builder, find that std rand. What we want to do here is call one of these noise functions. I guess we use fast noise. Except these take integers. Do none of them take? Get how this works. Let me look real quick. Fast noise. Does it still bilerp or something? Oh, it's X shift S, right? Okay, shift right S. Okay, so output is 0 to 65535. All right, great. So, oops. So we go fast noise. X plus I, Y plus J. We want them to be, say, about 8 by 8. And the seed doesn't matter. Val equals that. And then we want val to, it's currently, so we want val equals val times, let's say 7. 1 plus val times 7. Or no, we only have 4 block types. No, but we're setting them all up. They just don't have names. So we can do that. 16 over 65536, I think. Let's just actually do the 1 plus in here. It's val. All right. So hopefully that will give us coherent regions. Where did I calling this? Oh, I did that. Dumb. I guess I'm doing it like this. All right, there we go. I'm not sure why they're striped like that. Oh, right, because it's ISO contours. So that's not quite coherent the way I want. How do I do the coherency the way I want? How can I do that? How do you do biomes? How do you do more than 2 biomes? What's a way to do that with noise? But anyway, well, here we can see some coherent regions that look terrible, as I said. Well, I guess they're good if you want to know where the blocks are. What I really wanted was coherent regions of sand, and I'm not getting those. Okay, so here you can see how the adjacent blocks are not exactly textured the same because the texture has been spread out over multiple textures. I guess I could just do that by default to everything. Bye Notch. Well, Notch isn't even at Yang anymore. He's got his 2 billion and he's out. Let's just set everything to scale up by 4 for now. See where that gets us. Oh, let's be clear. All right. So yeah, these are gigantic. Don't make any sense at all. But for some textures, it might be reasonable. All right. This very badly needs at least a little bit of lighting. So let's check this in. What have I done? I've got scaling working. Multiple textures, table, independent scaling, disabled, and more block types, different textures, loaded, specified by the table. Well, if I did anything else, who cares? All right. And I'm doing all this on master again, darn it. Right, so lighting. So I just want to do the dumb trivial lighting to start with. So the dumb trivial lighting, you need to know about, the problem for multiple biomes is just that the noise, produces bigger regions at the top and bottom. I don't even want to try to explain it. If you just use a single noise value, find the high bits. I think what you want is a noise value for each biome type, and then you test which one is the largest or something like that. The VC6 watch window is better than the VC 2013 watch window, is it? So what I want to do here is lighting. All right, so the lighting, what you want to do is for each block have sort of an approximate ambient occlusion of the adjacent blocks. That means when I'm procedurally generating a given block, I need to know about the adjacent blocks. And when I'm at the edge procedurally generating, those blocks are from the next thing over. So I either can have the procedural generator generate slightly wider, or I can wait until I'm doing the mesh building. And when I do the mesh building, I also require the adjacent blocks, and I can make the mesh builder go ahead and build a quick and dirty lighting value. So I'm going to do that. So remember here where we compute our segment lighting, and we do it by copying it from, where is it? It's up here. Here, we copy it over from the neighbor. Let's not copy it over from the neighbor. We will compute it from scratch instead. So, wait, but then the neighbor gets sampled. We actually have to go one wider. Interesting. All right, so we actually have to do this. Ooh, but what about up and down? All right, I need to actually write this down and make sure I understand it properly. So I have to wait when stepping through code to see updates. Oh, yeah, the whole thing where it's gotten slow is insane. Properties. So I have a block, and this vertex has to sample from these blocks to compute its lighting. So I'm building this. That means I need to know the lighting this block. So if the boundary of the chunk is here, I need to sample the lighting one outside the chunk. In fact, I need to sample it up here for this one. But this one's lighting has to be computed by looking at all the neighbors. So this one is computed by checking the block type of that. So I have to go to outside. Now, when I'm doing the procedural generation, it wouldn't be that hard to actually compute one or two outside while procedural generating. Just expand how far the procedural generator runs. It's inefficient, but it's possible. And then I could just compute the lighting there, and I don't have to worry about tweaking this code. But if you're not procedural generating, if you're like loading from disk, you don't have the easy ability to look at the neighbor at the time you're loading. But you wouldn't be loading, you'd load the data already lit. So how would it get lit? It would get lit during the procedural gen and then when you're editing. So if you edit a block, the neighbors, which includes the next chunk over, might need to have their lighting changed. Yeah, I think in the long run you do want to save the lighting to disk, so it does make sense to compute it there. So the only reason to try to do it here is if it were easy. And since it's not easy, since I'd have to expand these things, it's probably not worth doing it here. So I hate to make the procedural code have to build more, but it's probably the easier thing to do. A more correct thing in the long run as well. So yeah, it's gonna suck when I try to do smarter stuff, but oops. And then what about that one outside problem? Do I have the one outside problem? No, I only have to go one outside here. I don't have to go two outside. I'll use less than equal. Yes. So the variables will always iterate over the actual official coordinates, but all the data structures have to be offset by 1. And we don't update ground top. Well, let's go ahead and update ground top as well to account for those. Wait, what is this doing? Oh, right, yeah. I don't need the default values anymore because I'm going to go through and set them. We have to do this for the full range. No, we don't. We computed the height field. We don't have to do this. Okay. But these have to be offset. Let's do this just in case the compiler isn't doing it. How much do I earn per month by programming? I earn a lot because I'm a very good programmer. I don't think this is the time or place to give the actual numbers. Oh, I forgot to look at some earlier stuff. I don't even know what Rust Bytes oh no was. That was so long ago now. Okay, so lighting. What we want to do by weighted average of neighbors. So is it max Z or Z max?